there's a fire.
Okay.
Oh my God, there's a fire. I'm trying to.
Ma'am, what's on fire?
The TV. I don't know. My son, stepson is in his room, and I don't know. He did something with the TV. I was sleeping.
Trigger warning. This content contains graphic descriptions of prolonged abuse, captivity, and violent crime, which may be deeply disturbing for some listeners. Specific themes include domestic imprisonment and psychological abuse spanning decades, references to arson and life-threatening endangerment, manipulative behavior, and alleged false testimony, emotional distress involving familial betrayal. Due to the severity of these themes, listener discretion is strongly advised. If you are sensitive to discussions of trauma, coercion, or violence, especially in confined or domestic settings, please prioritize your well-being and consider whether this content is appropriate for you at this time. Resources for support are available in the description for those affected by similar experiences.
Hello, are you Kimberly? Hi, I'm Detective Pesh. I investigate all the fires that happen in the city, so I just wanted to get an idea of what you know or what happened. When did he say that?
He said he woke up and the TV was in flames.
Okay. Where was he when he said that to you?
Coming out of his room.
He was coming out of his room?
Yeah. I guess he fell asleep, and I guess I don't know, smelled the smoke.
So take me right to the beginning of when you know there's a fire or there's smoke.
I smelled it.
Okay, where were you?
It's bad.
In bed? Where's your bed?
In bed,
Downstairs,
right
upstairs?
upstairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
You smelled it, so then what happened then?
I guess he was sleeping. He passed out.
Okay. But what did you do though, specifically?
I was screaming for him. I was screaming it, for him, and I was trying to go into the room, but there were just flames. So he came out of the room. He actually woke up. He came out of the room.
So when you saw him at first, he was sleeping?
No, he was talking.
Okay.
But he said that he couldn't come out of the room because there were flames.
Okay.
And I was standing back because I could see them, and I said, just come out.
And he couldn't get out because of the flames?
Right. I said, just come out. Just come out.
Okay.
Just come out,
Did he run through him?
I guess he did, yeah.
Okay.
I guess he did.
Was the door locked in his room or no?
No.
Okay. Is it normally locked?
No.
Okay, it's normally open?
No. Yeah.
And he has free reign to go out of there whenever he wants?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he have any mental challenges or anything? What is he?
He started the fire.
Well, we don't know yet, but that's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking if there's a history of. Okay. So no, nothing like that in the past.
No.
Okay. So other than you, were you sleeping? You said in your bed.
Yeah.
Okay. You smell smoke, right? You get up, you go to his room. right? And you're
I'm screaming.
screaming, yeah.
He must have been sleeping and just, I don't know, just
Okay.
didn't realize until it was actually happening.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And you're telling him to get out of the room, because there's flames there.
He was scared because of the.
Yeah, and I get that.
And I said, just cut, go through them, whatever, just come out of the room.
Yeah. And where do you go at that point?
We both went downstairs.
So he was able to get out with you at that time?
Yeah,
okay.
Okay. And I was trying to hit 911, and I was just so shaken. It took me a second.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I get that. All right. You're going to be here for a little while?
Well, I was going to go to the hospital.
Okay. Is somebody with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's with you?
My daughter.
Oh, okay.
Husband.
Oh, okay. Do they live at the house too? It's just you and your son? Okay. And you're going to go to the hospital? Okay.
That's where my other daughter is. So
Oh, that's where she is?
she's there too.
All right, I'm fine with that. He's at St. Mary's, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's where you're going to go now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. If I need to talk to you later, you don't have a problem talking with me, right? Okay. Thank you.
Unlawful restraint, cruelty to persons, and reckless endangerment. Police responded to the scene on February 17th after reports of an active fire at a home on Blake Street in Waterbury. While sitting in her daughter's car nearby, Sullivan was questioned by officers. Body cam footage captured her responses after her stepson told firefighters and police that he'd been held captive, locked in his room for 2 decades. Was the door locked on his room or no? An officer asked. Sullivan replied, no. When pressed, is it normally locked? She again denied it, saying, no. And he has free rein to go out whenever he wants? The officer continued. Sullivan answered, yeah. But police alleged she was lying then and is still lying now. Let's hear from the victim's half-sister.
First up right now at 6 tonight, we're hearing from family of the Waterbury man confined to a home for decades. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Mark Zinni.
And hi everyone, I'm Erin Connolly. Heather Tessman tells us she had been looking for her half-brother for more than a decade, only to find out with the rest of the country he was held captive in Waterbury for 20 years.
Tonight, your reporter Dylan Fearon is live where the victim was allegedly imprisoned and abused by his stepmother for years. Dylan, what is his half-sister saying?
Well, Mark, Aaron, Heather had always wondered what happened to her little brother since they were kids. So she did the math. When her half-brother turned 18, Heather started searching social media, ancestry sites, court records, but nothing worked. That's because police say for 2 decades, her half-brother was trapped in this house.
I love you. I've been looking for you.
That's Heather Tessman's message to her half-brother after she spent years searching for him. Little did Heather know he was just 12 miles away, facing daily abuse, starvation, and torture in Waterbury.
I just need him to know that he's got people, you know, and we love him. Allegedly treated like garbage and held captive by stepmother Kimberly Sullivan. He's 5'9", okay? I'm 5'4". 68 pounds. That's what a 5-year-old weighs. That's not what a 32-year-old man weighs.
Heather's half-brother is now hospitalized, recovering after years of abuse, being locked in a room smaller than a jail cell, starving and emaciated, according to police. Heather claims her half-brother's father and 2 stepsisters were living in this horror house with Kimberly Sullivan, but were loved and cared for. When the victim's father, Craig Sullivan, died last year, Heather ramped up her search for her half-brother. Somehow, she says no one outside the house knew where he was, and the ones inside the home were lying to Heather. Just like her initial searches, everything she tried failed. Social media, ancestry sites, court records.
I think, personally, that she didn't like that he was not her son, and she took it out on him. Her daughters, they got to go to school, they got to have friends, they got to have jobs, they got to have a life. What did he get? A jail cell?
The victim, unable to endure any more pain and suffering, set their Waterbury house on fire with printer paper, hand sanitizer, and a lighter, freeing himself from a personal prison. Heather even wrote this letter to her half-brother, hoping he'll receive it while he recovers in peace. She'll eventually visit, but wants to give him time. What is the main message in there?
It's just I love you, and I want you to be okay. I've been trying to find you.
Heather wants his stepsisters held responsible too. She claims they were complicit, living in the home as well. But she's most furious with Kimberly Sullivan, accused of feeding him 2 sandwiches and a cup of water a day, occasionally making him drink from the toilet, only allowing him outside briefly to take the family dog out.
Honestly, I want to see them all fried. They deserve solitary confinement for the rest of their lives. Drink out of the toilet.
Now, police are still investigating tonight to see if anyone else needs to be charged in this case. We also know Kimberly Sullivan will be back in court next week. Her attorney has told us tonight she plans to plead not guilty. I'm your reporter live in Waterbury tonight, Dylan Fear, in Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Timeline of alleged abuse. Early years from 1990s, 2004, 1990s. The victim, born approximately around 1993, was reportedly removed from his biological mother's custody as an infant and placed with his father, Craig Sullivan, and stepmother, Kimberly Sullivan. Early 2000s, attended Barnard Elementary School in Waterbury, where teachers and classmates noted signs of neglect, stealing food, eating from trash cans, and appearing malnourished. Classmates later recalled his emaciated appearance and dirty clothes. 2004, school officials contacted Connecticut's Department of Children and Families repeatedly due to concerns. The victim was pulled out of school in 4th grade under the pretext of homeschooling. Police conducted welfare checks in April 2004, but reported the home clean and the child happy, despite later allegations he was coerced a lie. Captivity. 2004-2005, alleged confinement began. The victim claimed he was locked in an 8-foot by 9-foot room for 24 hours daily, fed only 2 sandwiches and 2 small water bottles per day. He was allowed out briefly for chores or to let the dog out 17:15. 2005, police and DCF revisited the home after classmates feared he may have died. No action was taken. Records of unsubstantiated claims were later purged by DCF after 5 years. Mid-2000s, 2024. The victim's father died in January 2024, after which conditions allegedly worsened. He was denied medical dental care and forced to use a makeshift urine draining system via straws through a window frame. His only outside contact was a radio. He educated himself with books and a dictionary. Family members expressed concerns, but were allegedly intimidated by Kimberly Sullivan. Escape and aftermath. February 17th, 2025, the victim intentionally set fire to his room, using printer paper and hand sanitizer, telling rescuers, "I wanted my freedom." Firefighters found him severely emaciated. March 12, 2025, Kimberly Sullivan arrested and charged with kidnapping, assault, unlawful restraint, and cruelty. She posted $300,000 bail, sparking outrage from the victim, who questioned why she was free. On March 2025, biological mother and half-sister sought reunion with the victim, whom they hadn't seen in decades. Police released crime scene photos showing locks on the victim's door and his emaciated state. Sullivan pleaded not guilty, with her attorney claiming the allegations were absolutely not true.
That is an outrage. Heather Tessman joins me now, half-sister of the 69-pound man identified only in court papers as male victim. 1. Heather, thank you so much for being on tonight to talk about this. What were your first thoughts when you heard the news about the fire and the rescue and the condition of your brother?
Well, I had first heard about what was going on via, like body cam footage on YouTube and all that. It was days later when our mom had gotten a hold of me and said, "Hey, we found your brother." It was this guy, and I was like, absolutely not. There's no way. There's no way. You just never in your wildest dreams or worst nightmare could ever even think that this would be a possibility of somebody you've been actively searching for forever.
Talk to me about that, Heather. You had tried to find him and you had reached out in the past. What was the reaction of your brother's family to your efforts to see him and to meet him and to engage as a sibling?
I was pretty much told to go away, and he wasn't there. So, as far as I was aware, he was out of high school, hopefully, and, living his own life away from these people.
But you were blocked.
That's all I... Huh?
You were blocked. They effectively said, no comment, no connection, be on your way.
Yeah, exactly. And if you get that direct, what are you supposed to do? There was nothing to find.
Now that you know this is what his life has been, all these years you grew up apart, have you had any luck in trying to reconnect as he tries to heal from what he's been through?
I have not had any luck, but it's not up to me at this point. It's up to him, 100%. I would love a relationship, but if he doesn't want that, I have to deal with that in my own time. But I've always wanted him, really.
Have the detectives in this case been helpful to you at all, informing you of anything that's been going on in the investigation going forward?
No. It's an active investigation, and I understand I haven't exactly been vetted, but it's like I said, not up to me.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the pictures that we're all seeing. I know what my reaction is, but he's not my brother living in these conditions. What was your reaction?
I was horrified. I had a house fire when I was younger, so I understand what regular house fire damage looks like, and it's a pigsty and very unhygienic. I'm horrified. I really am. It's what a house you go to Urban Explorer in after it's been abandoned for 20 years looks like, not a lived-in house.
And then there are the locks that we can see on the outside of doors. That must be harrowing to know that could be the circumstance he was looking at for 2 decades.
It's inhumane. There's no reason for it. I don't care how he was as a little kid. Nobody deserves locks on the outside of the doors. It's just subhuman.
Heather, I hope that you can reconnect with your brother at some point when he's well. I hope that there's some healing, certainly for him as well. And I wish you peace in your family. This has just been such a difficult story to report. And again, I'm not living it. So thank you for talking and sharing your story tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Heather Tessman joining us tonight.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your...
Sullivan allegedly withheld food and water and locked the man inside a very small room. Your reporter Owen Kingsley live in Waterbury tonight after talking to people who knew Sullivan and shared similar stories about her. Owen.
Yeah, we spoke with 2 people today that knew Kimberly Sullivan, who, as you mentioned, guys, accused of allegedly imprisoning her stepson inside this house for decades. Now, one of the people we spoke with went to high school with Kimberly Sullivan. The other worked with her as recently as a few years ago. But both of them described her as argumentative and combative.
Kimberly, she wasn't well liked. She was constantly lying.
argumentative with other people.
Lee Wassel says he worked with Kimberly Sullivan from 2019 through 2021 at a retail store inside the West Farms Mall. He says she didn't get along with most of her coworkers, but complained to them about being in debt or having to take care of her husband.
Her husband was handicapped, was in a wheelchair, and how she hated when her shift was over, how she had to go home to take care of him.
Her husband, Craig Sullivan, died last year. Wassel says she did talk positively about her 2 daughters. Did she ever talk about her stepson?
Never mentioned him at all. Never mentioned him.
When the news of her arrest broke last week,
I was very shocked, but then I was not surprised because of the way she was, the way she acted, and the way she lived.
When all of this came about, none of us were really surprised.
Jeffrey Guglielmo says he went to Wilby High School in Waterbury with Sullivan. He also said back then she was very argumentative with her classmates and teachers.
I mean, but we didn't think she was this dark. I mean, because that's really, you got to be a real horrible person to do that to somebody.
Lee Wassel also mentioned that he actually saw Kimberly Sullivan about a month ago. He says that she approached him at a Dunkin' at the West Farms Mall and hugged him, said everything was okay and fine, and that she now worked at a different store at the mall. Well, Wassel looked back on his Dunkin' app. He says that run-in happened either February 19th or 20th, which would mean that this incident with Kimberly Sullivan happened just days after her stepson allegedly lit the house on fire to try to gain his freedom, but several weeks before her arrest. Your reporter live in Waterbury, Owen Kingsley, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
So far, these have been the updates on this case. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to stay updated with the case.